a new FedEx Cup champion, new work in the shop. We're going to talk about face angle and club head path. That ought to be fun. And some other things that we did over the week. All here on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here at McGolf Custom Clubs. And why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and that's exactly how this started. Talking about what was in the drawers cabinets of my shop. And it's turned into a really nice conversation to folks all around the world. And I think that's phenomenal, and that's the reason why we're still going. I'm trying not to blow you out back here, but we got a thunderstorm and it knocked down all the sunlight, and then all of a sudden it started coming. But you can see how it changes. So I'm not real certain. Look at that. Let me do this. Get it back to you again. There we go. Look at that. There we go. It's just all screwy the way that this camera picks up light. Okay, so Roy McIlroy. Roy McIlroy becomes the FedEx Cup champion and does it in commanding fashion, shooting a very low score on number 8 on the fourth round, and where Scotty Scheffler had a command, except for he basically crashed and burned. I don't know. I didn't watch any of it other than watching scores. I don't know if it was one hole that ate him up or he just, lost it little bit by little bit, or however that was going to work out. However, there we go. That's just going to drive me nutty. But anyway, he still ended up in the very top 10 of it. Very good golfer. And congratulations to Roy McIlroy. Was it Sungjae M? He did very, very well. Xander Schauffele did very, very well. All those are names that I'm thinking we're going to see for the years to come. So congratulations to them. All right. So in the house, you guys may have recognized this one from the last video, but there's the Golf Pride. That was actually, I was surprised. I didn't think those were going to look very good, but they did. They turned out very, very well with the Lab Golf going into the set of irons that they went into. And it turned out the very, very strong golfer, right? That was the Titleist, or I'm sorry, the TaylorMade blades. And they turned out pretty good. Let's see if I've got a picture. I might have one right. There they are. And turned out very, very nice. Not as consistent as I would like to have seen from the shafts, but they're very, very stout, very for that aggressive swinger, to be sure. They did that one. Another one is a return. This one, I did a video on that guy, and we put an Acra shaft in it this time, the Acra Ice Series. So the golfer that sent it to me, and I did a video on that one as well, we put a Aldila NVS, the orange one, and it broke about, I don't know, about that far above the head, and we replaced it. He said he took 2 swings or 1 swing or whatever it was, and it broke again in the same exact spot. So we changed it into a different shaft, and we'll see if it keeps breaking. Now, I did notice across the top that that's where most of the shots were at. Does that contribute to a break? In some cases, but way at the top, I don't know. That it might be something along the line with hitting the dirt or something along that line. But we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't ever happen again and he enjoys the golf. That was the whole part of it, right? Another set, we did a Titleist reshaft. And the reason why I show that is, and you can't see them, and that's the good thing. It had 2 little, like when your car picks up a stone and it chips off the paint, it had 2 of those on there. And 2 of those. So here's a little tip for you guys repairing if you're looking to maybe have a sky mark or something that's on there. But right there, what I did, and the reason why you can't see it is because it's, I'm holding the club far away. But I used a Sharpie. And all I did was I just colored in the area and let it set, and then colored it again, and it turned out pretty decent. I kind of like it. We ended up putting some KBS in there for the golfer and the nice red shafts. So these are regular iron shafts, and I think he's trying to make his version of a spinner because they went into these a couple of SM9s. Turned out those are pretty clean, right? They're very, very clean, so not too bad at all. I did like that. What else we got in here? Some more pictures of the same TaylorMade. Then we did a set, and I think I showed you these. We did some Project XLZs, and we put those grips on them. Those are pretty nice. And then finally, a little bit of Callaway love. We don't see that on here too often, but and it's still in a wrapper. But this is going to Pennsylvania, and those are some Rogue Pros, and they have the, as you can see, the Jumbo Max grip. The fella that these are for, the dude's almost 6. He's like 6'5", somewhere that maybe 6'6". Tall cat, big hands, and quite the player. And once we decided that he had some crazy extended clubs, I believe, and they were 2 inches above standard. That's a lot. I mean, even for a 6'5", 6'6" guy. Turns out the way he was swinging coming through it, he actually needed 1.5 inches, not 2 inches. And once we did that, and then we got the big grips on it, he just started pounding the ball. It was really, really nice. Really nice to see that. All right. So amongst a lot of other things that we've been doing, but we're getting ready to get into what I call the silly season for golf equipment. They've got a the models that are 2 years old are on their way out. New models are coming in, so and everybody's going to be doing it, right? They all do, and thankfully it's on a 2-year rotation, not a every 6-month rotation like it had been in the past for at least one company, and and then they've got you rotate. And every company's figured it out. You carry 2 lines. You do one year, one year, and that way you keep your name in the spotlight, so to speak, and you can maintain relevancy. So that's a good thing. So hopefully we start seeing the representatives coming around. That would be outstanding. And well, I didn't see that. I didn't get that. So yeah, I would really like to see that. I'm going to look at something here real quick. I know you're looking, and of course it didn't download again. Let's see about this one. I got one thing to check here. Nope, it didn't download. All right. I was looking to show you some pictures. From right now, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell down below as well, and that way you get notifications when the next video is coming out. And the next video coming out will be tomorrow at 7 a.m. my time, and it's about me visiting tour vans and how we compare with one another and stuff like that. So it's actually quite informative, I think. It'll be very, very nice. So if you would, again, like and subscribe. And there's Mrs. McGolf in the background. Okay, face angle. I started talking about this is a fitting conversation. Face angle and club head path. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because last week it was a myriad of different types, except for the biggest one. Is it path or is it face or is it both? Okay, had an experienced golfer, an inexperienced golfer, and a guy in the middle, and they all seem to suffer from the same thing, and maybe in some just different aspects. So the pictures may be a bit grainy, but keep with me on this one. So this was a gentleman that was swinging I had him in a Mizuno 223 with a Modus 105X, and as you can see with the acceleration profile down there in the bottom right, that it was accelerating through the ball very, very well. However, he was pulling it about almost 10 degrees to his inside, and his face angle was just over 2 degrees shut. So if this was the case, if we talk about face angle to face path, right? And let me get something here. And how they relate to one another, then you'll understand this here in a second. So let's go back to that. So if this is if this is club head path, and this is face angle, and it's straight down the target line, right? The ball, in theory, goes straight. So now if you take the path and you make it go like this, but you're still going straight, now the ball is going to want to go straight, but it's going to curve to the right. Now, if you go like this and then you turn it ever so slightly, then it's going to look like a pole, but then it's going to curve to the center. And the same can be true going the other way, right? And then if you're here and then this thing stays wide open, it's into the next time zone off to the right. And so those are things that when you're doing a fitting, you've got to know why clubs or the golf ball zipping off in one direction or zipping off in another, or it comes up high or goes out low. And path and face tend to be huge indicators of what's going on. Now, sometimes you can just see it, right? You can just see it when it's going out there. However, you have to be able to show them. So what I do is I'll pop up something that looks like this, and we'll show them the overhead view where you see that on the left-hand side, and then you'll see face angle. And then we'll relate it to, well, this is what it looks like. And so again, there's the push out. You see the dark yellow, that, and then the path across the bottom, that this is how it looks when it flies, but that's what it did. All right. And again, it was basically a pull fade. Okay. And that's what it becomes. It becomes a pull fade. Now, if we look at again, so another instance, same cat, but he pulls it even more, but the face is now open somewhat. You know, it went from that 2.2 to the left to just a little bit to open to the right and still more this way. And we get a look that looks like this fade, or actually a big old slice. Now he's hitting these things. He's hitting a 6-iron past 220 with doing this, but that's just one of those indicators. I wanted to show you that. So to further show you what's going on here, so here's another gentleman that was golfing, and we're going to show you 3 of these things, and you tell me which way you think they're going to go. You got 10 to the left and almost 15 wide open. Remember, that's number 1. Then you have one that's 10 to the left and almost 5 to the right. That's number 2. Then again, almost 10 to the left and 1 to the right. So, so what do we think the first one's going to do? Well, it's going to do this. It's going to go wide open, right? Let's go back and make sure we're talking about the same thing. Yeah. So it was 10 to the left, 15 to the right. And it looks like that. Big, ginormous open into the next time zone, right? It's just wide right. And that it's obvious, right? And the reason why I'm showing you this, because this actually happened with one golf club. Then we look at this one, 10 to the left, 5 to the left, and it looks like that. Pull, right? It's starting to bend. If it would have traveled a little further, it would have actually curved more towards the center. It just didn't fly very far, so you really couldn't tell. Then we have 10 to the left and just a little bit to the right, and it looks like that. Down the center, and it starts fading. Again, it would look way worse. However, these shots were only about 110 yards. So again, when you see and that's the other thing with length. When you hit them really, really far, the smallest mistakes looks huge, and where the shorter ones, you can have that same exact stuff. Because if you were to look at this guy hitting it 200 yards or 200 plus yards, but you cut him off halfway, you'd think that was just a straight dead pull. So you got to look at, the whole entire flight. Now, this is just if you're ever wondering why it goes one way or to another, that's why. Now, the question that is kind of the chicken or the egg, what's more important, path or face? Right? Path or face. Now, I just showed you a series of 2 sets of golfers pulling the thing 10 degrees to the inside, but yet the face angle, well, obviously one was 15 degrees open, but they were small. You could see the variations of where it was going. So you guys can figure that one out. Okay. So there we hopefully get into that one. We're nearly 50 comments already. Awesome. All right. All right, Jack. Last Friday tried 4 Sachs Parente putters. They have excellent feel, very soft. I would highly recommend them. Currently only at Club Champion. That's probably where they're getting them. Okay. I knew they were very nice, but I think Saks actually has some dealers as well, Jack. But I'm sure Club Champion has them as far as being fitted. Yeah, because they don't mess, and that's a pretty good one. All righty. Charlie, what's up? 75 and 82. It looks like you were absolutely bringing it down. Good job. Hello there, Mr. Danny. So I did I went out and shot, and I played with a couple of guys, newer golfers, and I helped them around the course a little bit, and I ended up shooting an 83 in the process. So not too bad, a 41-42. Just, again, the 18th hole just lost my concentration and cost me one. But it was a good round as far as ball striking goes, so I was happy. All right, my golfing buddies Callaway Epic Drivers developed a rattle. It is internal. Any way to repair? Yeah. You'd have to there. So Charlie, there's plenty of different reasons why. Number one, in the Epic, I would number one, I go around and I would make sure that the slider's tight, and I would also make sure that the adapter's tight. For the first time in my golfing career, I actually had an adapter come just rattle ever so slightly, and I tightened it back. Turns out it was the adapter. First time in ever having an adjustable club that's ever happened. The next one is some of them had weights in them, little circular weights. Make sure that that's in there nice and tight as well. All right, and then one very last check is in the heel of the club where the adapter goes. There's a little black dot, and that little black dot is basically a tip pin. Make sure that that's in there so that you don't have any intrusion of dirt. The easiest and best way to do it is you take out the weight that's in there, and that exposes a hole into the head. You get some rattle stop, and you only squirt in just ever so slightly, just a little bit of it, and shake it up in order to catch it. Now, if that's in there and everything is tight, there's one more way of doing it. And what you would do is you would take a butane torch or even a propane, but propane you got to move quick. You take a butane torch and you heat up the bottom. All right, and you heat up the bottom. You go for about 20, 30 seconds, right? 20, 30 seconds, and get it so that the bottom is warm. And what you're doing is there's probably rattle stop already in there, and it's reactivating a little bit, and then shake it around and see if it doesn't stop. And then just set it down on a rack or on a table or somewhere where the heat won't hurt the surface you're sitting on, and just let it cool. And you should catch it. If it doesn't catch, then the second edition of rattle stop will be where you need to go. All right. Matt, 67. Holy cow. Are you kidding me? 67. Well done. Okay, what have you learned about your golf game this year? Hopefully everything is well. Well, that's a good question, Matt. What I've learned about my golf game is I can hit it just about as bad or as good as I want to. I've learned in my in the days that I'm truly planning my shots, I actually do better. I know that, where I just don't go up and just want to mash the ball as far as I possibly can and want to place it. I'm not thinking about working the ball so much as maybe you are. I know that you can do that way, way better than the rest of us. And after that, it's just about tempo and let the course, take what the course gives me. But I have found out that through a little bit of practice that you can actually get better being a wedge player or even a putter for that matter. So that's pretty cool. Still working it though. There you go, ever evolving, right? Funny enough, I made a lot of putts and had my share of mistakes, but I am at a 66 plateau and need to work getting past that number. Yeah, okay. You're giving up 10 strokes next time we get together. Maybe more. I have learned that the kids take up a lot of time, and you would be correct in not training. Good job, man. Mr. David Jones, how are you, sir? Hopefully everything's going well. And let's see. Duke, how are you? In your build videos, what's the story on the door? See, so where I'm at here is my fitting room. This is the back I'm looking at my net. Over here, which is to my right, goes out into the shop, and I have another door that goes into my workshop. And that's what you guys see in the background. And as a lefty golfer was swinging, and what had happened was I had swung and the shaft snapped, and when it came back around as in my finish this way, it went backwards and it went into the door, and it was hanging right out of the door. I should have kind of left it in the door, except for I needed the iron. So it was done by me, and it was done because the shaft was breaking. So yeah, I'm not sure how that came to be. I don't know if there's a locker over there that I use as a heating unit. Not sure if I caught that and that's what caught it or whatever, but yeah. But that's me, man. Those plateaus can be tough sometimes, but don't give up. Just around the corner. Oh, you should see the man play, dude. He's got it coming. All right. Post a comment. Oh, I must have I've got a new option in my live stream. It's telling me to do something here. All right, Duke shot a 79-78 this week with a shortened backswing and a different putter grip. A different putter grip style or an actual different putter grip? But congratulations, that's good news. It's funny, some days you don't hit the ball well to score well. That's right. There you go. I think by our time, Charlie, all the other ones is that we already know the swing. It's just a matter of playing it. Mr. Hodges, how are you, sir? Thank you for staying up. Matt agrees that Charlie agrees that Duke had some good rounds. And Mrs. McGolf talking to Mr. Jones about he ordered a travel bag carrier from us, and we're hoping he gets it. Yeah, how about that, right? If I take it off, let's see. Bam, there it is. It says sailor parking right there. These are the things in my windows. I got a couple golfing Santas, one of those top 100 awards, and then my backup bag and my regular bag. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. They were the TaylorMade blades looked very, very nice, and they were very much a forged blade. And in the video, I said I don't know if they're forged because I haven't seen it on the club. And as I'm holding up talking about the hosel, right there on the back of the hosel, there's forged, and one of the guys watching the videos caught it, and it was awful. So it was. It is what it is, but it looked to be a very well-made club, like most blades would be, right? It's a chrome blade, some markings in the back, so there's a definitive difference between the upper section, lower section. The face was milled, and you had to be a guy. I mean, I just needed to. It was funny. All the loft angles were dead solid on, but all the line angles needed adjusted. So that was pretty neat. Mr. Hodges, stupid questions. If you're fitted for a ½ inch over and you want to try one length, would you go a ½ inch over or use a OEM 7 iron length? Okay. So this is another one where the perfect example is it depends. So if you are a ½ inch over, I would certainly recommend being a ½ inch over on a single length. Now the question being is what you're asking in the OEMs is 7. It depends on what you think standard is. If the standard OEM length for a single length is an 8 iron, make them a 7 iron length would do exactly what we're looking for. However, what I'm seeing out there is if you go with the Sterlings or Wishons, whatever you want to call them, he actually makes his to be 8 iron length. And where you might find that the Cobras and those are actually running at a 7 iron length. So whatever length that you liked that you actually hit very, very well, and let's say you walk up to a standard 7 iron and you just you just hit it, right? Then yeah, I would go with that. However, if you struggle just a skosh with it, making good contact, bringing the club to square, those kinds of things, and you're a little early or thin or something like that, then a ½ inch over the standard 7 iron you could go to, which makes them all about 6s, I know, right? But I would look at that. So whatever they think their standard, whatever that OEM thinks it is, then a ½ inch. Now, there's a kicker to this. OEMs, when you go to graphite, they'll automatically add 1/2 inch, and then that would be their standard. And length is length. It doesn't matter what you're putting in it. It is what it is. And if that's the right length for you, it's the right length for you, regardless. So if you're going to a graphite shafted club and their length is a little bit longer than their steel, then just get the standard graphite and you'd be fine. All right. Austin's on time. Yeah, you're on time, dude. Jeff Mayer. All right. Jeff, we've been putting on a ton of those, right? We've been putting on a ton of those. Oh, okay. And if you see right about, where did they go? Here they are. Right there. We put those on. Get back into here. Yeah, we put those on, and we give people a chance to hold on to them. What we're finding is people either do or do not like the texture. It's not kind of, it's okay. No, I don't like it. The sides are a little firmer than the tops, and that's by design. The sides they call it a quilted fashion. I thought it initially, I felt to me like I was holding on to snake skin, and because that's just me. And but what I also found out is that sitting in here, when the dirt from the environment gets on it, they're not as tacky, and that is true about every grip. However, when you go to wipe them off and you clean them off, they're very tacky. They're very tacky. So a softer grip with a unique texture on them, a low tapered style grip, a little softer, and if you keep them clean, they'll be sticky. And I didn't think that was such a bad thing. So there you go. Feel okay. All righty. Brandon, what do you say? Jim, do the tour pros use the same off-the-shelf clubs that we use? They made better with better materials. P.S. The clubs arrives. Hitting them sweet. Good job. I was hoping, man. Oh, by the way, Jameson. I was hoping. I was really hoping those were going to come in good for you. Because, when you wait that long, you have these preconceived notions of what you want to see. As far as okay, so that's a heck of a question, Brendan. And you're going to see it in the video because I open up a few drawers to show you what's in there. And virtually there, except for one slight case, and I don't know if it's necessarily better or worse, but um, they're using the same stuff we get. Okay, the same grips, the same shafts, the same heads, the same drivers, the same putters, the whole 9 yards. The difference is the amount of attention that these components get prior to getting on the van. Uh, Now, let's just say Company A. Company A has 5 professional golfers in their stable. I will guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they know every spec that that golf club needs to be in order for that pro to play their best, regardless of what tour they're on. And the people in the tour trucks or even at the build centers for the company will have those and will hand select shafts, grips, and heads in those particular weights in order not to have to add weight. And even if they do, so be it. But they're going to hand select these things. And then they're going to put in, once they're put together, they're going to check them. In some cases, some trailers have these loft and lie gauges with digital readouts, and some of the digital readouts go pretty far out. Some don't. And then so you're getting a digital readout, and some, like one company had, like Callaway had they have digital readouts on their machines, and at one point, and they have it back at the headquarters, they've got a camera that sits on there so that you can align the lines just exactly so. Do you and I get that kind of a level of attention? I would venture a guess to say no. However, we do check our stuff out here going, but I don't have a digital variety. You just have to rely on an old man's eyeball. And that's where that one goes. Other folks in the trailers will have like lines of golf clubs, and they will have weights written on them in order to help build a better club for the golfer. And if I had dozens upon dozens upon dozens of sets, I would do the exact same thing. You want to weigh it because you watch the videos of mine. I weigh everything. I'm doing the same thing they are. It's just after the fact because I only have one to see what changes I need to make versus they can go into their drawers and cherry pick the heads and the weights that they want in order to get where they go. So the answer again is no, it's the same stuff, same materials. It's just the QA is way better than what would be made on the line. All right. There's Steve. What do you say, man? When you make a spinner shaft, do you go eight iron shaft in the wedges? The answer is yes. Yes, I do. And that's what that guy with that TaylorMade was doing. They were 8 iron shafts and we were installing them. But there's a bit of a trick even after that, Steve, that you just don't shove an 8 iron shaft of the same one. You got to go up a notch. It came in today. Well done, sir. Hopefully you like it. Great round, Matt. I too shot a 67 this week. Whoa, nice. Got rain after 14. It would have been higher. Good job, man. All righty. All righty. Any word on Callaway? I don't know. That's a Mrs. McGolf thing. And normally they would have told us by now. We either today or tomorrow. If you don't hear anything, I don't know if they're going to or not. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. I want to post a comment. Let's see what it says. All right. Let's see. Callaway. Okay. Here we go. I can't find any of my old notes from the Golf Works. What is the proper way to calculate compensate for bore through length when reshafting a bore through club? I'm hoping it asked correctly. You are. Basically, what they were talking about there is the baseline to bottom ground bore, okay, and how to calculate that. And it was the same, right? It's the BBGM, bottom bore ground measurement. There you go. And what it assumes is the club that goes down through, and like if this is the head, we'll go, there's the head, and what you would do is you'd measure the bottom of the hosel and what it would take to get down to the ground, and that would be a measurement, and then the measurement above here, and all that would get to the ground. That's what they called it, and you were using that because of bore throughs. And so if you wanted to have that bore through, you would basically, for a Callaway that didn't have anything, you would take off a little bit more in order to have that same amount. And that's what it was. Now the Titleist just went the Titleist compensated that by grabbing onto it about 4 inches worth, and it took it away. So you really didn't need it. In which case you were looking for tip sizes that were longer than 4 inches to go in there so that they could actually flex a little bit. All righty. There's Mr. Bob. All right. CW grad, when using a mid-sized grip with a normal amount of tape, makes swing weight higher than a standard grip with an extra 3 to 4 wraps of tape. I'm really trying to think about this one. We did this once. I did. The thing is, I did this once, and I believe the tape weighed more than the grip. All right, and it's by a little bit though. Right, it's by a little bit. If you the 3 links of tape versus the added grams, and then just a singular layer of tape, was very, very close to one another. But it's not so differential that it is painful. What you did, it was just easier to put on a mid-sized grip. That's what it came down to. Michael Barber, how are you, sir? Shot in the low 90s today, first time. All right. Good job, man. Good job. The more I get, the more it hurts to play. Man, don't I know that, brother? Well done. I bought one and put it on my sand wedge, and I like it heavier than my lambkins were. Yeah, they do with that extra cap on the bottom of it. I think it is. So, Austin, so he's asking why are graphite shafts recommended a 1/2 inch longer, and that's by OEM. Okay, by OEM. This Jameson orange is easy. So what? So what? So Phil. So what the when the OEMs do this, one of the parameters of a golf club that they can control to an nth degree is swing weight. Okay, swing weight. And when you go to graphite shafts from, say, a standard steel shaft, it was a pretty radical change because you were going from a 120 shaft to, say, a 60 gram shaft or even a 70 gram shaft. So that was 50 to 60 grams of weight. And what they would do is they would make the club a little bit longer, in order to regain some swing weight back. And that's purely the reason why. And I don't think that you need to do that anymore. They've got, if you really, really were truly, the whole idea of getting a lighter club is to have a total weight, which in resultant gives you a lighter swing weight. And it should be an equitable change, right? So that, yes, it will feel lighter as a whole, but it's a total weight feel, not a swing weight feel. Because I can't tell you the number of people I've had come in here, and I have put the same exact head on a lighter shaft, and they go, "Wow, the swing weight's heavier." Well, in reality, it's not, but it is a feel that is different. And that's the part we need to get across to folks is if you like a D3 swing weight with your steel, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like a D3 swing weight with your graphite. That it may actually feel head heavier. And the whole idea of going to graphite is to get a change in that feel. Now, if you go from a 100-gram shaft to a 100-gram graphite shaft, well, then, yeah, your expectations ought to be it's a D3. But in most cases, you're going lighter. And when you go lighter, then maybe a few swing weight points lighter should be the expectation. All righty. Hi, Jim. I know that you like using tape on grips. Do you trust pure grips to stay in place when you put them on using an air compressor? Well, a lot of what the guys have been doing, would I trust them? The answer is yes. Yes, I would. But what guys have been doing is taking that painter's tape, the blue painter's tape, and just putting it on and then throwing it on there. And I believe it's more for size than anything else. But yeah, I've had, in every instance when people put grips on, you always talk about the slide, but the rubber that the pure grip is made out of, made in the USA, all that stuff, has a little bit of a different tack on the inside. So yeah, I would think that they'd be fine. Well, if you were fitted now, Austin, if you were fitted to a half-inch longer shaft, and then fine, that's just what it is. Half-inch longer for that, right? The half-inch longer for being fit is a different animal altogether. That a half-inch long could be your height. It could be your arm length, right? Your arm length to your height. It could be the way that you stand if you're very, very tall or if you scrunch over. And the last bit is your swing plane. If you come in flat, chances are you're going to need a little bit of a longer club. That's just the physics of it. And if that's the way that you fit into it, albeit graphite or albeit steel, doesn't matter. Half inch is a half an inch. C nozzle. Oh, I forgot to mention that we are broadcasting on. We're broadcasting also through. Hopefully, if StreamYard did it, or if I did it properly, we're also on Twitter now. So we did YouTube, Facebook, and now we'll see what Twitter does. I don't know about it yet, but at least it's going out there as a name. So good for us. C nozzle. This is a guy that's got a really good swing. All right, I got to see him. He was on the My Golf Spy video. Dude's got game, and he was in Eckers shafts. Ah, good. So what we were talking about here, what C nozzle is talking about here is, C nozzle is a very smooth swinger. Okay, very smooth, and smoother swingers tend to enjoy lighter clubs so to get the same performance that, say, an aggressive person does with heavier clubs. It's all about finding it here and being able to bring it around. And he recently went to some lighter graphite shafts and he was slaying it. Okay. And we were talking and he was struggling in his short game, at least for him. He was struggling. I said, well, let me see one of your wedges. And it was a standard wedge. It was a standard Vokey. Standard Vokeys typically come with standard DGs or DG spinners, which are in that 120 gram range. So if here's what we're talking about. If he's swinging something that's in that 65, 75 gram iron shaft, you do want to have a heavier shaft, but you don't want to go all that way because it's just like really nice stuff and then boom, sledgehammers. And you want something that is heavier, but something that is not so heavy you have to have a whole different game. And that was what was happening with him. He was getting stuck and he couldn't bring the club through because he was used to a more fluid kind of movement, where this one he had to be a little bit more, or get through it. So what I recommended was, and I showed the pictures from the other day, what I recommended was going to the Acra wedges and say a 90 gram. And so you see what he says, definitely a better feel. So hopefully it works out well. All right. Austin was fit a couple years ago, and a trainer suggests I get fitted again. How often do you think these things occur? It depends. Hey, look, I sent a thing to myself. Look at that. Uh, so Austin, it's if you have some sort of major medical, I won't say trauma, but a major medical transition. Let's say worst case scenario, and I don't wish this on anybody, but let's say you had a stroke or a heart attack, and you're weak and you're gaining your strength back. Do you ever get to normal? Or you got fitted when you were 25 and now you're 55. That could happen. Or you've just gone the other way. You got fitted when you're 35 and all of a sudden you took this thing up and you got into this, incredible shape, took some lessons, and all of a sudden swing has massively changed. All those things are different. All those things are good reasons to go get fit. They can be 5 years, 5 months. They could be 20, 10 years between them before you would go get another fitting. So I guess the general, the short answer to this is if something major has happened to you that has changed your swing or that changed your swing for the positive or for the worse, then yeah, another fitting would probably be worth it. Chris, I was waiting to hear how they fit on the forum. Didn't see anything. Here you go. I saw that you were going to be out for the visit down to Carolinas. I don't know yet either, but uh, so for all of this, a good lead in. So this is Tom. Here's another guy out at the meeting. I guess I'm going back to Maryland this weekend. Mrs. McGolf had planned a trip, and Bob and his wife will be going with us, and we will be golfing at some places in Ocean City, and we're going to be driving right by Queens Harbor, so it'll be fun to see. I've already talked to Jose about when's the best time to go, although he's the same guy that told me to leave early and said I could have actually left on time. So we'll see. We'll see. All righty. So there it is. Look, I sent a note to myself. How about that? I didn't know I could do that. All right. Yeah, with my fingers. How about that? R. All right. There's Bob. RSG, bonjour from St. Louis. How are you, sir? Thank you. 36 golfers. Thank you, my dog Rex. Yes, I'd appreciate it if we did that. That would be grand. And let's see. Twitter is the devil. Well, yeah, I will say this. My oldest son works for Twitter, and though of course, I love my sons. That's not a big deal. However, I have called him the enemy already since he started working there. He's gotten very successful. Apparently, he's found his niche. I am super duper happy for him, but it but you're right. They have issues, and hopefully they address them. All right. Hey, look at that. Best graphite shaft I've hit are Acra, better than MMT. Well, there you go, man. There's a how shall I say a client customer somebody saying that they've hit, and they are good shafts, man. They have their constant weights out there that are very nice, and they look the same. I've got them. I did a lot in the earlier part of the year. I did a lot with their constant weights, meaning that they're discrete lengths, constant weight, same flex. Is very very nice shaft, and they came in four different weight categories, and the weight was more predicated to giving you flex. So the lower the weight, the softer the flex, moving it on up. Uh, Very nice. They're very very nice shafts. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Barber. Thank you very much. Main trip got canceled there, Charlie. It was in my dad wanted to go see Maine, and at the last minute, he wants to still see Maine, but the conditions weren't the way they were supposed to be, so we're not going there, and that's what it is. And sorry to hear that. Yep, health is okay, and it is. Okay, guys. Well, if we can get to Nozel and Tom, tell those guys on My Golf Spy to get on over here and ask some questions. But we'll have to do that more. We got 10 minutes to spare, and I made it all the way down to the bottom. Oh, here we go. Mbanga, we say, hey, I'm tuning in late. Hope everyone's well. Just got 2 new clubs, Callaway Rogue STLS with a Tensai White 75X. I think you're going to like that one. And the Odyssey White Hot OG. Yes. Did you get it with the stroke lab or did you get the original shaft? That was in the Odyssey. The LS, man, that LS is a great head. Low spin, ready to rock and roll.
You need a haircut. So we can
Do I?
Yes.
Do I really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I need a haircut. I hardly have any hair to begin with. All righty. We played in Myrtle Beach and our dog Erin got sick. She was better. Freighter alone. Yeah. So remember I told you she was on the 18th fairway? She had a stroke. And like dogs that are 14 years old, we were planning on, she's crossing the Rainbow Bridge. But doggone dog. She's very, very stubborn. She's right here asking me for a treat. And she's gotten better. She's just like she was before. So now Mrs. McGolf won't let her out of her sight, and because she's a softie. Uh-huh. And now we're taking her with us. This will be the first time we've ever taken a dog on vacation. So we'll see how it is. All righty. Maybe next year. Yeah, that'd be cool. The Stroke Lab. All right. The Stroke Lab's cool, man. I just think that's really good technology for the price that you're paying for it, the performance that you get out of it. I think it's good. Oh, look at that. Lobsters. And somebody's eating good. Good job. I've been talking about your videos on the forum recently. Been watching a lot out of your catalog. Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. By the way, the woods you helped me with have been the best I've ever played. Well, Dan, I'm glad you like it very well. All righty. Well, Mrs. McGolf is telling me we're going to have to cut this one off early, guys and gals. So, again, if you would, like and subscribe. Tomorrow we have a video on how visiting the local tour vans. And there was an unusual amount of them because I believe it was a championship. That's a good thing. It was fun to meet with some of the guys. I knew some of them. I knew some of them from a long time ago when we were on them before. Glad to see that they're still doing well. And it was just a good visit overall. And didn't get to see anything new, damn it, but it was fun. So again, like and subscribe if you would. We'll see you on the video when it gets down there. And as always, now I got to get to my spot. I go back down this way. As always, let's see your scores go low.